ladies and gentlemen, last season on the Gielinor Games, we had a 30 billion GP prize pool, okay? Now, I want you to take a look at what we discovered in the first episode of the brand new Season 4 Gielinor Games launch. Let's just, yep, there it is. Okay, the prize pool is starting at 15 billion on episode 1. It's going to increase every single week. This prize pool is going to be insane this season. I would be shocked if we don't at least match the 30 billion of last season, but this is going to be the biggest prize pool in RuneScape history, and we have a chance to compete for it. Welcome to Gielinor Games Week 1 review. If you haven't seen Gielinor Games Season 4 yet, it is essentially the hottest event of the year. Every time it comes out, Soup puts in months of hard work into this. It's absolutely unreal production value, literally just the best content on the game. All your favorite content creators battling it out for the biggest prize pool in the game's history. So go check it out. Intense challenges, eliminations. I'll put Soup's channel in the description. It's crazy good. Must watch. Spoiler wall is ending here, so click off now if you want to watch it. If you've already seen it, well, spoiler wall over. So the reason I'm making these is because of Solo Mission. He's my inspiration for this. Last season, him and Victim were making recap videos of their weeks on Gielinor Games, and I was like, damn, that looks like so much fun. I don't know if people would want to see my perspective, but I pulled you guys. Seems like you do, so here we are. Obviously, all of GG Season 4 has already been recorded, so I'll be speaking as if I'm teleported back to the past. I can very easily remember all of my thoughts at the time without spoiling anything. So a little bit of history about my time on the Gielinor Games. First of all, I love the show. I love being on it. I'm a very competitive person, just naturally. In Season 2, I was paired up with Jimmy. It was a duos season, and we ended up getting eliminated in a banning against the winners of that season. So the people that we lost to ended up winning the whole thing. I think it was the final 8 or 10 at that point. I think it might have been the final 10. In Season 3, it was a solo season, and I ended up making a run to the final. The strategy was quite literally to not be a big personality, don't make huge moves, and I ended up winning 3 challenges and a double elimination banning. And that worked well enough to get me in a final. In fact, I was the only person to have received 0 votes that season who also made it to a final, which is a fun little stat. I wanted to stay unproblematic for the most part. Only problem is I got last in that final. It was I remember the nerves were so high that day. It was such a nerve-wracking thing. It's intense, man. And if your nerves can't handle it, you won't play your best. So off a 6th place finish in Season 3, we moved to Season 4, where we've already gotten tons of twists, and the new format makes things very exciting. So the new format is essentially the top 3 finishers in each challenge will make up a tribunal. That tribunal will send someone into the banning with a majority vote, so only 2 people have to agree to send someone into the banning. But the big twist is that the person the tribunal sends in gets to choose their opponent in the banning. Loser goes home and is off the show. I'll talk more about this twist later, but I really like it. I'm going to talk about everyone on the cast, their strengths, their weaknesses, but I want to go into the challenge first. So the challenge this week was Spawn Stars. Go find a unique item in under a minute. Don't bring back what someone else brought back. So if 2 people bring back the same item, they're both eliminated. Going into this challenge, I knew, like, this is my wheelhouse. This is going to be something I'm very good at. I have a lot of item spawn game knowledge in my brain. I know some people decided to go for, like, those more common items. I didn't even want to risk it. Like, I wanted every item I get, essentially, to be a unique item. I know that it doesn't exist anywhere else in the game. If I get that item, no one else is going to bring it back. That's essentially what I wanted for every item I bring back. So first round, after the face mask, I had this idea to go to the crafting guild. And just tracking it in my head, I knew I had plenty of time to get the money for a brown apron with a pickpocket. The only risk was, what if the aprons are all bought out for some reason? We can't hop worlds, so I took that risk. But what makes this method so OP is that brown apron. You can't enter the crafting guild without it. The teleport takes you outside of the crafting guild. But one thing I made sure to do, if you look right here, is I took off the brown apron every time I grabbed a mold. That way, every time I teleported back, no one would see that I'm wearing a brown apron. And even though they could tell that I'm getting new molds every single time, someone might try to teleport to the crafting guild thinking they can just walk right in. In my mind, I thought a lot of people might forget that you need a brown apron to enter, and they might not think to get money and pickpocket and get one, and they might think that you can just walk into the crafting guild, because a lot of these people play on maxed accounts, which just teleport directly inside of the guild. But we don't have a crafting cape to teleport in there. The only way to get there is teleport outside, then walk in. the last time they've walked through the entrance is probably like years ago. So who knows, right? So I was hoping, praying that someone would see that I'm doing this and try to follow me. But yeah, the brown apron strat secured 6 out of the 9 rounds for me just with that one strategy. I was super relaxed knowing that. This was a very chill challenge for me. I even ended up saving one of the molds for later and throwing people off my scent, because as long as there's one mold left in the crafting guild, if we start having even less time to get items, that's going to be my safety net. So, okay, I basically coasted to this tribunal. This was a free win for me with the crafting guild tech. Very happy to make the first tribunal of the season. I made it alongside Torvesta and Bodhi. So we make our decision to send Victim in after a lot of deliberation. My big thing was I don't want to do a big move early on. It's not a huge move, sending in Victim. It's really just exactly what happened last season. I think the thought process on week 1 is always either we're putting in the person who got last in the challenge, or we're putting in the person that won this thing last season. Those are 2 very easy thought process to follow and logically explain when you're talking about why you sent that person in. I know Victim most likely doesn't have any alliances off the bat. I talked to Victim afterward in the DMs, so I still think we're in a good spot right now. So Victim is able to choose his opponent in the banning, which we in the tribunal obviously did not know beforehand. So I like this twist a lot. The only unfortunate part is this is the worst week to win the challenge. When you don't know this twist, sending someone in blind without knowing it, you're setting yourself up for potential revenge, because V the Victim gets to choose the best possible opponent for himself. You didn't account for that. He's most likely going to win the banning, and, well, now he might want revenge, right? You didn't really have a chance to get the person out that you wanted out. Victim ends up winning the banning against Z Cookies. I think the odds were like, I think the odds were not high here. No offense to Z Cookies, of course. I mean, this was just a skill mismatch in this banning. This dude got like the 5th Infernal Cape in the game. It just wasn't going to happen. I like the way she played it, though. I genuinely think, like, that's most likely her best play. Kill the DKs comfortably. Assume Victim gets cocky, maybe screws up the off tick on Prime or something, you know. So Victim gets the amulet of choice, leaving him with a sabotage to use. He decides to pick the sabotage. He doesn't need the money. He won 13 bill last season for winning the Gielinor games, so he's not going to take the 200 mil option. I am really interested to see how effective the sabotage is going to be. Like, are sabotages going to essentially give you no chance of winning the next challenge? Will it be a slight debuff? Before we go any further, I want to talk about the cast. I think it's good to know who we're competing against for the craziest prize pool in the game's history. Quite a few familiar but also unfamiliar faces this season. I want to talk about everyone and what I think their strengths are, what my perspective is of them. First up, we have C Engineer. I believe he's been on every season. I could be wrong about that, but I love Tom. His strengths are obviously PvP. He's gone out early in quite literally every season he's been on. I love him. I don't know. This guy is just like a magnet for the banning, I guess. I don't know, dude. He's so funny. Next, we have Dino. Now, in my mind, Dino is one of 2 like S-tier PvPers on this cast. What I mean is, you have people like Framed, Torvesta, and Bodhi, who I think are absolutely incredible PvPers. But I think Dino and West Ham have that edge above them. Like, I think Dino and West Ham are just that one notch above. So I think Dino is one of 2 very scary PvP threats this season. Don't want to be in a PvP banning against that guy. But I also give him some credit for PVM, honestly. I think anyone who's super good at PvP will also naturally have a pretty good head on their shoulders for PVM. So it makes you a very strong player. I think he'll be weak on the game knowledge side, but everything else I give him a lot of credit. But I also have to say that he's a rookie on GG. It's his first time. And when it's your first time on the show, it is a natural disadvantage. People don't really realize that. I don't think the viewers watching the show, I don't think you realize how big of an effect it is to be a newcomer and be surrounded by these content creators that you're meeting for the first time and you're competing for this huge prize. Like, it is a very just unnatural thing. It can really put you out of the zone. You don't think clearly. So Eevescape is back for another season. Not someone you can ever count out of a challenge or a banning. I think he's very strong. He's a very, very good all-rounder. Foe is back for his 2nd season. He was a finalist last season, so Foe is no longer a rookie. He knows what he's doing. He knows how the games go. And he's an incredibly clever person. I think Foe is very good at creative problem solving, adapting, great game knowledge, PVM capability, so I give him a lot of credit in that regard. Next, we have Framed, who has been on every single season of the show, and I think might be the most underrated person on the cast. I feel like he doesn't get a lot of attention, but I believe after Season 3, Framed might be the only player to ever reach 2 finals. You gotta give him some credit. Like, that's not easy to do. He's an amazing all-rounder. He can do everything in the game, strong in every aspect, so. Hootie is on the Gielinor games for the first time. I don't have an amazing read on Hootie, honestly. What I do know is he's obviously co-hosted speedrun cups. I know the guy does a lot of raids. He must be good at the game. I have literally no clue what else he's good at, though. Is he a good PvPer? Maybe. Does he have good game knowledge? Probably, to some degree. I have no clue. We'll have to see how Hootie plays, maybe get more intel on him. MMORPG also on for his rookie season. This guy must be an overlooked beast. I'm just thinking, like, he has one of the best Iron Men in the game. He's done so much content. I think he's going to be extremely well-rounded, and naturally, he's in this Farmers Alliance, which makes him even more scary. I'll talk about that later. Mr. Mammal is on for his rookie season. He's also got an Iron Man that he's played for like 1 billion years, so I gotta give him some points for that. I think it's very beneficial to have Iron Man experience on Gielinor games. I think Mr. Mammal is going to be good at most PVM challenges. Not entirely sure on the game knowledge front, just how good he's going to be. We'll have to wait a bit. Roydy is another beast hardcore Iron Man fella. I mean, I know this guy is insane at PVM. Don't really have a read on anything else he's good at. But when someone excels in one aspect of the game, usually either PVM or PvP, you tend to have a natural understanding of how other things work. You're going to be above average at PvP too if you're good at PVM. If you just know how game ticks work, how just things work in this game in general, you're going to be good. So with Roydy on the list now, 4 of the people I've listed are insanely good at PVM, Iron Man knowledge, and they happen to be in a Friendship Forever group in the Farmers Hardcore Iron Man. So that's a scary alliance. Very, very scary. Skill specs. I love the guy. What else is there? What else is there to say? I'd get drinks with him. All right. He's good at PvP. Okay. Anyway, Solo Mission, of course, back for yet another season. He's a loyal, honest man, can always be trusted. Honestly, though, I think Solo Mission may be the best all-rounder jack of all trades on the season. I think he's excellent at every aspect of the game, which always makes him scary. I mean, I honestly couldn't decide between him or Bodhi as like the scariest competitor on the season. I think they're just about on the same level. Personally, I don't know who necessarily has the edge, but I wanted to name like a top threat in terms of sheer competition on this list, and it's either Solo Mission or Bodhi. One of them takes the spot. I just can't really make the choice yet. Torvesta is back, kind of repeating myself a lot at this point, but great PvPer, lots of hardcore Iron Man knowledge. He's a good competitor. Can't ever count him out. He has a lot of knowledge across the entire game, so he's actually more well-rounded since Season 3. I definitely consider him better than he was last year. Victim, the winner of Season 3, the guy who proclaimed he was washed up and hadn't played the game and then wins it all. I mean, he's trying the same thing this season. One of the first things that happened in the call is that we got the good old, you know, haven't been playing the game for months, guys. How's it going? I think Victim is super underrated. I give him credit for playing this act that he's not good at the game. He definitely is. He still has insane game knowledge. I'm positive of that. Almost through the whole list. Okay, West Ham, one of those top PvP threats I was talking about, but I know Dino has done some like high invocation TOA, so I don't know if West Ham has done any PVM in this game. I pretty much just see him as a massive PvP threat. I know he's an incredible PvPer. Then we have Zoe, who I think is also a bit underrated. She's done a lot of combat tasks. She generally has good PVM knowledge. I went up against her in that double elimination banning to get to the final last season, so I think she's solid. Bodhi is back after being 1 point away from clinching the victory last season. Like I said, might be the single biggest competitive threat this season. The guy just lives and breathes this game. He's good at everything. Easily would have won it last season if he just ate food against Framed in the last man standing challenge. So either way, him and Solo Mission, probably the 2 people you least want to be against in a banning. I assume you've seen the episode at this point. I was going to talk about Z Cookies, the final farmer, but she is no longer with us. I mean, she's alive in real life, I meant, but God, in the show, she's not in the show anymore. I'm sorry you had to go out like that, Z Cookie. Super brutal to be the first one eliminated, and I hope to see you back on a future season in full revenge mode. So yeah, the cast looks absolutely stacked this season. This might be the most all-rounders we've ever had, and simultaneously the most stacked cast in terms of PvP we've ever had. Very well-rounded in terms of skill all around. Other than that, let's talk about me. I am going into this season alliance-less, and what I mean by that is I have no hard alliances, essentially. I have one close friend on this cast, and that's Framed. Last season, I had Framed, I had Jimmy, I had 8sat. So I had a lot more people that I could make those connections with. I was actually really close with Victim too. Would I choose to send Framed into the banning over someone else this season? Probably not. So I kind of call that a soft alliance. We're friends, but that's my only connection in season 4 right now. I do think this format does devalue alliances. Alliances are not as strong or important as they were in season 3. In season 3, you had like the EVscape alliance versus the Framed alliance, and whichever side had voting control, you could probably suspect who's getting votes and going into the banning, right? But this is a super performance-based season. The tribunal carries a lot of power. You need to be getting top 3 out of these 18 players to have a say. Because realistically, what are the odds that your alliance is going to take up a majority of the tribunal? Probably not likely, so alliances don't mean as much as they used to. Anyway, I'll see you guys for week 2. Drop a like if you enjoyed this, and make sure to go watch Gielinor games. If you haven't done that, I don't know what you're doing watching this video, so I will see you guys for week 2. Thank you for watching.